As a composer, I try to move between gravity and grace, let's say gravity and levity. I've written some very dark and almost scary music in my days. And I've also written some very light-hearted stuff. And that is as it should be. I also like to arrange. And a synonym for arranger can be makeup artist. You turn a face into something that is more beautiful, more strange, maybe unrecognizable. Facelift is another more radical word. I was once musical director for the musical Stop the World, I Want to Get Off. A piece that has some very good stuff in it, but it also is dated. It's too much 60s. I don't think it's good for a piece that when you see it you think 60s. Not too much, at least. Although I'd rather think about the 60s than the 90s. So, arranger, makeup artist, facelifter, and one could also say bartender, someone who mixes drinks, putting different ingredients and try to create a new taste. And I suppose all this has to do with my love of parties. I'm a real party animal in my own way. I call it the science of partiology, what I'm sometimes doing. And one very enjoyable aspect of parties is masquerade. Why is that? Because you leave the dull, grey aspects of ordinary everyday life behind. You become somebody else, which is, I suspect, more exciting for us men than it is for women, because they can look one way one day and totally different the next one because of makeup. So even though I don't use makeup, I at least do these things in my musical play and work. Another facet of the jewel has to do with voices. I very much like, or almost prefer, to write for voice. There's something about vocal writing and also having a text to set to music that is really inspiring. And I've worked very much with specific singers who allow me to experiment, who allow me to stretch the boundaries, and who are prepared to make some almost masochistic things, when performing my music. I've written a lot of that kind of thing for my dear friend Björn Haugan. And what we are going to hear is written for Anna, my singer and muse. And she has also an exceptional voice, which I have tried to use and highlight and kind of give it a setting as well. When you write a piece of music for a specific singer, you set the singer, you set the voice to music in a way. So the piece we are going to hear, in unfortunately a not good sound recording, was written for an occasion. It was a kind of festive dinner, and Anna and I were asked to do some music. And we put together a rather ordinary program, some piano pieces, some lieder, some Michel Legrand, etc. But I thought it would be fun to write a specific piece also for this evening. Like, you know, when Haydn came in the morning to Count Esterhazy and the Count said, we are going to have a party tonight. Can you write a symphony for us? 7 o'clock. I didn't write this piece in one day, but it felt like, yeah, let's do some little divertissement. Another way to describe this thing of how to use and highlight a voice, one could think of a jewel, a precious stone in a special setting, in a ring, for example. So, what to write for this festive occasion? Here my inner bartender came out. I had this idea of mixing a drink, and I had basically 3 ingredients. I don't know why it came out that way, but the first ingredient was Scriabin, Poème de l'ecstasy, which is a very special piece of music. I recommend you to listen to it if you are not familiar. So that was the base, kind of, in the drink. And what to add to Scriabin? Well, I thought, why not Grieg in the Hall of the Mountain King? A melody that had misfortune of, at least for a time, becoming a very, very common mobile phone signal. Okay, so then we have Scriabin and Grieg. It's like Metaxa and goat's milk. I don't know. We need a third ingredient, and I thought, why not a jazz waltz? So now we have the drink. It also needs a name. And as you can see, I've taken out a couple of my bottles from the bar. And here's also a little exotic ingredient. Benedictine herbal liquor. George Neuvigne liqueur. And when it comes to drinks, I think it's a bit regrettable that the names of drinks nowadays have become so vulgar. I mean, there's no finesse. Yes, sex and erotic things, but let's not overdo it. Maybe let's not even underdo it. So the name I gave to my little drink was not very original, but quite relevant. It was called Rhapsody in Ecstasy. Rhapsody, Hungarian Rhapsody, I mean, I am a Hungarian. So what we have here is a little divertissement, a bagatelle, a drink with moderate alcoholic content, and in a way a setting for the precious stone of Anna's voice. You should also know that what we are going to hear is not, actually, it's not even a real sound recording. It comes from a video recording, and it doesn't even have the beginning of the piece. So we have to make do with what we have. Actually, I have a history of making really poor recordings of my pieces, often with a ghetto blaster. Think of it as a prehistoric thing from the 19th century, and that might make you more appreciative, at least of the sound, if not the music.